I'm here in Johannesburg at the Joburg Theatre, and we've just seen a phenomenal production of The Head and the Load. It was so emotional, it was so many journeys.
The Head and the Load tells a story of how the people of Africa helped to change the world during the First World War. They got no credit for it, no acknowledgement for it, and frankly, it got lost in the annals of history. What The Head and the Load does is it provokes a thought process which forces us to engage with how we never allow that to happen to us ever again. And that's the reason that we decided to team with William and with his team to bring it to Africa.
When I stand up after watching The Head and the Load, I feel inspired. I know that I have agency and that I have a responsibility, and that if it's done collectively, that we have a chance of reshaping our future.
When we started the project, I realized that I knew very little about what had happened in Africa during the war. And then I discovered that the other participants in the project also knew very little about this particular part of our joint history. We had to discover what it was, and we did that in the activity of making. So it's learning through making for all of us.
Heritage and oral history, the African traditional folk tales, they are part and parcel of our journey, whether it's orally transmitted or it is written or it is interpreted in theatre productions. We can't say our people don't know our history when we're not passing it on.
Oral history in Africa is what makes us great, what makes us special. But we have unfortunately allowed ourselves to let our history be stolen from us and let our history be told to us by the victors. And William, the work that you're doing is unbelievable because you're putting in the world's faces the fact that we don't all know our stories.
I think it's also, the act of memory is also an act of construction. It's not simply that it's there to be retrieved and done with. There are always fragments, and the history is always how one combines those different fragments. There's what Voltaire used to say. He said, there's your truth, there's my truth, there's the truth, and there's what actually happened.
I think that that's the relevance of this piece. There's good and there's bad that's come out of this, and I'm sure that it must have been a very uplifting experience for the cast as they workshopped this.
One of the first things that came to my mind was literally the history of apartheid in our country. And for me to be part of this process was somehow allowing my own trauma to manifest in ways in which I could somehow survive the burden that I've been carrying.
I'm hoping that students left the theatre with the understanding that there are so many possibilities of expression.
It made me have a more understanding about history than when I was being told.
It's easier to learn history like through a play and a song. You understand it better when you see the pictures, the songs, you hear it.
Do you think after this Head and Load, do you think that it's going to change how people see history? Do you think it's going to change them?
Who we are is always shaped by a particular story you read at this time, a story your uncle has told you in the past. And so one constructs oneself. One makes, in the same way that you make a history, you make a self from all these different things that come into you. And I think in that way, theatre and all the arts do have a huge importance.
What do you think society should be doing to embrace history or to give history the recognition that it deserves, especially to young people, to young political leaders up here?
I think that history should be absolutely compulsory. Look at the process that William has taken us all through. This has created a sensory overload that makes us all think. The greatest thinkers in the world are the people who engage with history. It shouldn't be optional.
There's hardly a learner who didn't acknowledge that this experience had changed their lives. And that confirms why this kind of work is so important.
I would like to learn about where am I coming from, where am I going to.
What should we do to change the society in future? What should we do to be an example as youth for the generation? What example should we do?
The more youth that we bring in physically to be able to be immersed in the creative arts, the better it is for them to be able to start to shape the Africa that they want to see.